And here we go on the Hey Mary Kay edition of the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. Back at it after taking a little Monday off here on the podcast schedule. And Mary Kay, let's get right to it. From our Football Insider subscribers in the 330 area code, actually Stephen Suffield. Hey Mary Kay, are you expecting a big game from Baker Mayfield, sort of like when they came back from the bye last year?
Well, that's a great question. And the Browns seem really confident that Baker Mayfield is going to come back and play his best ball down the stretch. Now, I do think there are some reasons why he may be better in the final 5 games than we have seen him be lately. And some of those things include health. I think Baker should feel better. I think Kareem should feel better. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones should feel better. We don't know if Anthony Schwartz is going to be back. He's still in the concussion protocol. Maybe by the end of the week, he'll be back as well. So I think getting a lot of guys healthier will help Baker Mayfield a lot. Now, having said that, there are 2 issues that I think could cause some problems. And that is Jed Wills and Blake Hance, or whoever's going to start at right tackle in place of Jack Conklin. If Baker Mayfield does not have time to throw the ball and is getting pressured a lot, then these could be long games for him. So that's going to be the key. They're going to have to have a good, quick, short passing game. Now, if Baker's a little bit more mobile, that will help him a lot. But having said all that, to answer the question, I think he's going to come out and fare much better against the Baltimore Ravens than he did in the last meeting. Number 1, Marlon Humphrey is out for the rest of the season. That leaves them without 3 of their 4 starting defensive backs that they had at the start of the season. Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, their 2 top cornerbacks, and their starting safety in Deshaun Elliott. So they are going to have to play out of their minds in the secondary in order to try to overcome the loss of all these key guys. So I do think the opportunities are going to be there for Baker to do much, much better in the passing game. But guys are also going to have to hang on to the football. Now, in the last game, if you recall, Donovan Peoples-Jones dropped a pass. Demetric Felton dropped a pass. David Njoku dropped a pass. And Austin Hooper dropped a pass. So if he has that kind of performance again from his receivers, and I don't absolve him from all the blame from those dropped passes either. Some of them, not all of them. I think some of them have to do with whatever. But when there's that much of a disconnect between a quarterback and all the guys who catch the passes from him, something has to be put onto the quarterback's shoulders. I don't know if it's ball placement. I don't know if it's ball speed. I don't know if it's whatever. But I don't absolve Baker of all that. But the receivers have to come through for him and do a much better job. If they can hang on to the ball, he should have a pretty big game against, as I've said 1,000 times before, the 31st ranked pass defense in the NFL. Now worse without Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah, unfortunately, we saw what this pass offense looks like against the 31st ranked pass defense in the NFL, and it wasn't pretty. I think the Browns have to figure out how to run the football against this team. I think that's kind of where it starts. And if they can do that and put Baker in a position where he can be more efficient, that's kind of where it begins. So I guess we just have to, what's a big game for Baker Mayfield? I don't know this. Steve didn't make it real clear what he kind of sees as a big game. If we're thinking 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, I'd be hard pressed to think that's going to happen. That would really come out of nowhere. But if it's a really efficient, almost like Cincinnati-like performance from a few weeks ago, I could see that if they can get that running game going somehow, because I think I'm curious to see how the Ravens play this Browns team, because I know on Sunday they were not putting 10 guys in the box over and over again. And I'm curious to see if they kind of run it back like that and see if the Browns can adjust, or if they're able to if they do something different, I guess, off the top to kind of throw something at the Browns that maybe they weren't expecting.
Well, Dan, the other thing is, although Marlon Humphrey is leaving the lineup, Calais Campbell is coming back to the lineup. And Calais Campbell really is one of their best defensive players right now, with all the guys that have been lost due to injuries. And, he's the big 6'8" mammoth, man mountain of a defensive player who can get his hands up. So if they can hem in Baker Mayfield and start, getting their hands on some footballs and things like that, then it could be a long afternoon for Baker Mayfield, because then would he have the time to take those shots downfield and take advantage of the issues in the secondary? That will be key. We saw what Tyus Bowser was able to do to even just to Blake Hance coming off that the right tackle side. So I think the Browns are concerned about that, to the point where, in fact, Kevin Stefanski wouldn't commit to Blake Hance today as his starting right tackle. Now, some of that might be gamesmanship. Maybe they're just trying to make it seem like they're trying to figure things out over there so that they can't just game plan for Blake Hance. Or maybe they are going to try something like James Hudson or Alex Taylor or something else, because we now know that Blake Hance is going to struggle in pass pro, especially against a Tyus Bowser, and they'll just keep coming at it. But I do think that a little bit of Marlon Humphrey being lost is offset by Calais Campbell coming back, and of course Jack Conklin leaving the lineup. So that could have a big impact in this game. But certainly the potential is there. I mean, if you can get the ball downfield to Donovan Peoples-Jones, if Anthony Schwartz comes back and you can take some of those shots and they hang on and catch the ball, that's the 2 touchdown passes you're going to need to win this game.